Okay, so a grocery plan. What is a grocery plan? I'm going to kind of go over the one that I have. You'll be able to see this in the files here in your the portal, and it's called Food Inventory. So I have 4 parts to this, and one of them is your protein sources. One is canned, packaged, or frozen food. One of them is going to be sides, condiments, and medications. And the other part for me, we have business storage. For instance, we have a business, so I'm working toward storing up several months worth of products for our business so that we can always have enough. Like if there's raisins or oatmeal, because we make oatmeal raisin cookies, or white chocolate for our white chocolate macadamia nut cookies, or our lemon white chocolate cookies, which I can ship to you if you want to. That's a different business. But you can go to morecrumbles.com for those. We ship cookies all over the nation. So yeah, if I want, canned peaches, like the big cans of peaches for cobblers and things like that for our bakery, I can store that up, and I determine how much I would need in a month's time, or roughly, and then multiply that by however many months I needed. So I already have the math already figured out for you on this. So this is how you store up food and how you use your food inventory. You will determine your staple foods. Most of us have staples, and we can make different things out of our staples. I started streamlining the way that we eat, the way that we purchase food, the way we buy food, and the way we store our food. I started doing that a couple of summers ago, about 2 years ago. And I just, took a look at, okay, what are some of the condiments? For instance, there's condiments in here. So for us, that would be like garlic powder, onion powder. And I would get a 5-pound thing of that, and that would last us, depending on what it is, it could last us a year or more. And most of them expire in about 3 or 4 years. So something like that, I can get one and I'm good. Like for instance, right now, I've gone through about half of them in about a year. Well, no, I think one of them is gone, but I'm buying to replace it. So what you do is you find out what it is that you need, and you start buying one every month. Every month you get at least 1 week's worth of your staples and things that you like to eat in about a month or two. Like every month or two, every month we're gonna have spaghetti. Every month we're gonna have beans a few times. Every month we're gonna eat fish. There's certain things that we're gonna do. At the time we were eating a lot of processed meats, which I'm switching over to making our spaghetti using lentils and walnuts and stuff like that. But at the time it is expensive, but we have a freezer out there. So we're like, okay, I need, every time we have spaghetti, I'm gonna use 3 packs of Beyond Meat. And they have the avocado version, which smells and tastes better. So we still have some out there, and as we kind of still switch over to the Mediterranean way of eating, I'll start taking that out of circulation, because it's so much easier to store walnuts and lentils anyway, and canned tomatoes and all those kind of things. That's something that I was thinking about. How much of that do I go through in about a month's time? And I'm going to increase that and not just buy that much, but I'm going to buy about a week's more. Like let's say I go through 6 of these in a month. I'm probably going to buy maybe 1 or 2 extra. And so that I'm not feeling it super heavy on my diet, on my budget. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling it super heavy on my budget. I'm getting about a week's worth more of that and other things. Of course, it's not perfect. You may say, well, this month, I can just get a bunch of condiments that's going to last me a whole year, or maybe a bunch of condiments. Sorry, not condiments, but condiments. It could be condiments. Or you could say, man, I think I go through a big thing of ketchup. I actually write dates on some of my food, so I kind of have a good idea of when we're going to run out of deodorant and when we're going to run out. Okay, this toothpaste lasts us about 3 months for each person. This deodorant, I write the date on it, and I looked at my daughter. She has a new deodorant. It's very different, very friendly, meaning it's non-toxic, but that particular one only lasts about a month. So then it doesn't cost a lot. So I'm like, oh, it's $2, whatever. If I've got our whole year's supply, it's not going to cost us a whole lot. But here's the thing. Whenever you get to that number, that goal, then you're like, okay, I need, for 3 months worth of food, I need 6 packages of meat or whatever it is that you eat. Maybe chicken is what you eat. 6 packages of that or 3 packages of that. I need that. I need 4 of them for the month, but I need maybe 5 or 6 of them. That's going to give me even more, right? And every month you're going to get more and more. So I would say get 6 packages if you normally eat 4 in a month. Get 6, that way you can get stored up, or you can double that. However you want to do it. You work with your budget, but do a little bit of math, not a lot, just kind of figure out what you need to do. Or maybe you want to get double that because you're like, well, I need to get double that. Or maybe one month you're like, I'm just going to get a week's worth of that and a week's worth of this and this, and just start storing it up that way. You play around with it. You have a food inventory here that you can go in and start monitoring that. When you eat one thing, it's no longer in rotation. For instance, it could be ketchup. As soon as I take, so once I have, let's say I need 3 ketchups to last me for 3 months. Honestly, a big thing of ketchup will last us about a year. Three of those will last us about a year. But let's just say I'm a month for ketchup, or peanut butter. Let's say peanut butter. So I get a thing of peanut butter. This thing of peanut butter is going to last me a month. I know in order for us to store up, I'm going to need 3 of those if I want to store up for 3 months worth of, food. I'm going to kind of look at the expiration dates also. Some things you're not going to buy it, like peanut butter and mayonnaise, I think, is not going to last the whole year. You're probably not going to get a year's worth of it, but you're going to get, 3 or 4 months is a good amount to get for you before it starts expiring on you and all that kind of stuff. So, and expiration dates are not hard dates either. For some things, I would say for milk, yeah, let it be a hard expiration date. But for other things, you can finagle another month or 2 out of some things. And when it comes to canned food, if there's no dents, if there's no rusting and there's no dents in it or bulging, then the canned food is probably still good. So I would say eat at your own risk. Make that decision if you like. They're going to guarantee it for the freshness date, but for the most part, you can even go a year around the expiration date on some things, and it literally smells, tastes, and you're completely fine. But do that at your own risk. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying you could do it. When you really start looking at the methods of canning and all that, you can stretch it longer than a year, longer than the expiration date, that they have on there. But it's up to you. So once let's say I have 3 peanut butters, now I have my 3 months worth, right? If I take a peanut butter, that peanut butter no longer exists. Even though it's going to take me all month to eat it, I'm going to immediately put that peanut butter on my grocery list and buy another one. So I always have 3 months worth of peanut butter. Got it? So when you use it, that's when you put it on your grocery list instead of waiting until you've run out. There are times when I wasn't paying attention and I ran out of something. And I'm like, because I'm actually trying to get to a year's worth of food for the staples, the things that matter the most to us, like our beans and lentils and things like that. Even pasta, that's a great thing to store up for, the long term. Pastas, for me, pastas and beans and rice. Rice is only going to last you, truly, look at the expiration date, but rice is something that will expire. But again, just like beans, rice will get really hard. It's not that it'll make you sick necessarily, unless there's mold or something weird on it. It's just there's actually a tiny bit of moisture in it. And when it gets really, really hard, it's very difficult to eat it. So what we did was I put the rice in a big bucket. We actually will go through rice fairly quick. So I stopped preserving or doing my dry preserving method. We'll go through 2 bags of rice in a year. And I said, that's fine. I don't have to do all of that. We have enough. So if I ever feel like I need to preserve it, I will. But if you don't go through a big bag, and when I say big bag, it's cheaper to buy rice, in 20-pound bags. If it's just one of you and you're like, that's way too much for me, but I would still want to save that up, you can. I started getting dehydrated mashed potatoes, but I got the kind, I had to really look, but because I had to go straight to their website, I think, to do it. But Idaho owns a company that has a natural potato something. There's no chemicals. All you have in it is just potatoes and maybe salt, a little bit, but it's just straight potatoes. I didn't want any chemicals. I didn't want any preservatives. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted potatoes, and that's what I got. I forgot what their brand is, but I went straight to the Idaho Potato website to find it, and I found the brand in the store, but it doesn't have anything in it, and I just add to it if I want. So having dehydrated butter isn't a bad idea. You can find that on Amazon. Having dehydrated certain things, so if anything happens, you still have butter to put in your potatoes. So I would get things like that, and I would just I would dry seal it and to suck all the air out of it, and put it in a mason jar, and I'll show you guys that method in a little bit. But yeah, those are things that I would do. So hopefully this makes sense. So basically what you're doing is you are planning out what is it that what is the bulk of what I need. You may not be perfect on it. You may say, well, we're going to go through jelly. You know, we go through one a month or one every other month. So maybe you just want to have 2 jellies on hand. As soon as you touch one, buy another. As soon as you touch one, as soon as you take it out of rotation, it's no longer in storage, I'm going to buy another one so that I always have enough. Unless it's something that is going to expire really quickly, you just want to, you know, be careful. But I've stretched peanut butter beyond, I've stretched dressing beyond the date because it's never been opened before, and I keep it in the refrigerator. And I'm talking about like a raspberry vinaigrette or something like that. It wasn't a creamy kind of, it had vinegar in it, you know, lots of vinegar, and it's very acidic. And honestly, it's fine. I remember calling one company because I just wanted to ask them a question about, you know, how does this work? And they're like, oh, or did I call the company? I think I Googled it and I went to the website. But basically, they're guaranteeing it by the best buy date. It's not really an expiration date. They call them best buy dates a lot now. It's best to get it by this date, but they know it can go probably another 6 months. And so when I looked online, I said, man, peanut butter, I think it was like 4 to 6 months past the date. Certain things I may not play with mayonnaise much, you know, because it has egg in it. So you just kind of have to use your judgment, but, you know, I probably wouldn't go too much beyond that. Soy sauce, whatever it is, just make sure you have enough. Or if it's a condiment you don't go through very often, maybe, you know, you may say, well, when I get halfway through the bottle, I'll buy another one. If you feel like you're just going to, you know, not use it, then maybe that's not something you want to store up a lot of. But things that you know are important, certainly start there with your staples and get the things that are very important to you. So for us, we do cook all the time because we don't eat out very much at all. So I'm going to have protein powder and things like that for breakfast. And we're going to have tons of lentils and split peas and black beans and pinto beans and canned tuna and canned salmon. Those are staples in my house. Peanut butter, and even sometimes fish sticks, which I'm kind of trying to get away from processed food. So that's probably not something I'm going to buy any more of. Once we finish it up, we'll do something different. There's so many other ways of eating healthy and quickly with an air fryer that I don't really need to get the ultra processed foods anymore. So yeah, you figure out what you want to do, how you want to do it, and then you just start planning it. And you'll see you'll see it, but this is how I have it set up. You can change them around and call them something else. If you want. You can change it around and call it something else if you want. But here are it's backwards. Is it backwards for y'all? Well, you'll just have to read backwards. But there's, I don't know if it's backwards to you. It's backwards for me. But yeah, you have your cans and you have all the other different things, and you'll just, yeah. So then you'll know, this is my goal. You'll write down your goal amount, whatever your goal amount is, and then you're gonna write down what you actually have, and it's gonna tell you how many more you need to get. So under the goal amount of protein powder, I have 3, but I actually only have 1 on hand right now. It's a little bit more pricey to buy my protein powder, but it's literally what we have for breakfast, and we have a lot of it. It takes 2 months to go through one of them. I want to store up more. So eventually I will store up more. And so right now I have to buy 2 extra ones because I only have, well, actually I have 2. My husband and I each have 2. I have 1 apiece, but yeah, but we can get by on that. And so I just want a couple more, and I'll have the actual amount that I have. And where it says to buy, that's an automatic. So when it gets to 0, meaning I have to buy 0, I put a green, I change the color to dark green so that it reflects, hey, you don't have to buy any more of that. And I did that for probably canned tuna, yeah, and canned salmon. I have plenty. So the way we buy our canned tuna and canned salmon, we get it from Costco. And I just have, we get it from Costco, and I may have, there may be 6 of them to a thing. So once I break open the seal of one of them, we usually use 3 of them at a time, then I'm gonna go ahead and buy another one to replace it. That's why that way I'm not constantly having to buy tons of it to store up. Hopefully that makes good sense to you guys.